Trump is bringing back segregation. And I'm like, I literally grew up in non-white neighborhoods, but if I dared to go into a white teen neighborhood, a cop would follow me and make sure I get the fuck out of there. That's literally segregation. So we live in this country with the illusion. It's an illusion that there is no segregation. But the problem is that at least back then we knew it was segregation. And today we live with a false illusion that there isn't any. But we as non-white people, if we go to certain neighborhoods, they literally tell us get the fuck out. And I only hear white people say things like that. And it's like you guys obviously don't understand how we've experienced life in this country versus you. And I guess a lot of white people say, "Oh, white privilege. I don't get a white privilege check in the mail." It's like you do. You actually do. And it's
You live
because
it.
see, white people could go anywhere they want. And nowhere will a police officer will come and escort them out of there. And on the contrary, a police officer, no matter where white people go in this country, if anything, they'll go to protect them. In white neighborhoods, police are there to protect the people there. In our neighborhoods, police are making sure we stay here and they suppress us here. And if we dare to exit here and to go into white neighborhoods, they make sure, where are you going? You belong over there. See, white people have never experienced something like this. And so they don't understand. Many years ago, when I was really young, it's important for me to say that, I used to date this white girl. It's the last time that I ever dated a white girl. But whatever the case, she lived in a white neighborhood. And she was dating me, and I met her because I used to be a tattoo artist back in the day. And so I met her because she ended up being a client of mine, and we just met and kept in touch and whatever. So whatever the case, every time we hung out, she had to come to my side of town every time. And finally she was like, "Hey, why do we have to go to your side of town to hang out? How come you don't come over here?" And I said, "Where do you live again?" "Such and such place." "I can't go there." "Why?" "Because it's a white teen neighborhood." She's like, "So?" "The police don't want me there." She's like, "Oh my God, you're one of those?" And I said, "What you mean by one of those? You think like, oh, racism and all that?" And I said, "Okay, let's go. Let's go." And so we got in my car. Was it my car or her car? Either way, we went up. Ironically, we went to her side of town. We went to a Chipotle, out of all places, right? We went to a Chipotle in her side of town. I swear to God, as soon as we walked in, there was two police officers there. As soon as we walked in, they looked and they did not remove their eyes off of me. And it was so uncomfortable because the stare, it had so much weight on it. And I felt that weight on me. And I kept telling her, "We're supposed to eat there." And I said, "We're going to take this to go." And she said, "Why?" And the cops were over there. And I said, "Because those guys have not stopped looking at me since we got here." And she looked, she's like, "Oh my God, you're just paranoid." And I said, "Listen, we taking this to go." So check this out. So we exited. And as soon as we're walking out, those two cops got up and walked out. And you could say, "Oh, they're just walking out too. They're done too." Yeah, sure. So we walked to my car. Okay, now I remember it was my car. So I grabbed my keys and I gave it to her. I said, "You drive." And then she said, "Why?" I said, "Trust me, you drive." And she didn't understand. And so the cops were coming behind. And she got in the driver's seat and turned on the car, and I got in the passenger seat. And as she was driving off of the parking space, those two cops were following us, and they didn't stop tailgating us until we left that white neighborhood. And the whole way she said, "Oh my God, they're on our asses." And I said, "No, they're not on your ass. They're on mine. They're making sure I get the fuck out of here. You understand now?" And she was like, "Oh my God, you were not kidding." Now you understand that you do get your white privilege check in the mail, huh?
All right.